Welcome to a new episode of Opening Bid. I'm Yahoo Finance's executive editor. This is the podcast that will make you a smarter investor, or at least I very much hope it will. Really cool guest coming up here on the show. Sweetgreen co-founder and chief concept officer Nicolas Jammet. Nicolas, good to see you. You have a lot of Sweetgreen fans in the Yahoo Finance newsroom, that's for sure.
Glad to hear that.
So talk to us. There's a lot to unpack here. Your stock has been on fire this year. Man, like what's going on? I mean, help us understand, the enthusiasm for the stock and even the enthusiasm you can see in the financial results of the company.
We've been just very focused, as always, on our customer and our product this year, and just really excited about our growth and bringing Sweetgreen to new communities and new cities and new states. And it's been really exciting to just introduce our food and our food ethos to all these new customers around the country. So just been very focused on growth, execution, broadening our menu, and having a lot of fun doing it.
It seems like this is the year a lot of things clicked for the company. Is that fair?
We've been focused on growth for so long and focused on so many long-term investments, whether it's how we think about broadening our menu, our supply chain, our technology, most recently automation in our new format. And so seeing some of those things come to life together this year has been really exciting.
I'm saving all that tech talk to the end. So don't give it all away, Nicolas. We got to keep people tuned in for the rest of this podcast. Talk to us a little bit about the founding of the company.
So Sweetgreen was started in my college dorm room with two co-founders, Jonathan and Nathaniel. We met at Georgetown. We were both, all three of us were sons of immigrants and entrepreneurs, and we grew up in this world where our parents were running businesses. And we had this problem in our life every day around talking about, our dining options that just didn't make us feel good, didn't fit what we were looking for. So we wrote a business plan, decided to solve that problem. And the idea really was born around this idea of redefining fast food and creating an option that was craveable and delicious but made you feel good, but also wrapped in a brand that was something you wanted to engage with, a cool brand. And when we looked around at the time, all the food options that were the most accessible, the most craveable, the coolest brands were all the least healthy. And so we said, why can't we solve that? Why can't we flip that and do all those things for food that is good for you?
Take us inside a little bit, because your family were in hospitality, right?
So I grew up in a hospitality family, honestly going back generations. My parents, my dad is from France, and going back generations, whether it's restaurants or hotels. My parents came to the US and New York in the late 70s, early 80s, and had a restaurant called the Caravel, which was very fine dining, French, old world, sitting down for a 3-hour lunch and, old school business lunches. And just really focused on high-end fine dining French food. So I grew up in that world around just hospitality, quality of product, and just understanding how you want to make people feel when they're enjoying food.
So they didn't think you were crazy about starting a restaurant business?
If anything, they steered me away from it. Really? They didn't want me, because it's, running a business, and especially the way my parents ran it, was tough. They were there every single day. There wasn't a guest that was served without my parents being there. And so really old school way of running a restaurant, but high sense of hospitality and relationships. And so they love that I'm in it now, but they in no means wanted to push me into it. And so the world of hospitality that we're in, this fast food reimagination, is very different than the world that they ran.
Why, you mentioned other fast food companies, why aren't we seeing, the focus on ingredient quality? What the hell is going on out there? A lot of these companies are still selling the same stuff they sold 40 years ago. And I don't see that at Sweetgreen.
Part of the premise was when we looked around at the landscape of food, and again, food that was really accessible and convenient, is that we didn't see great options. And so we wanted to create that. And the more we learned and we looked at the trajectory of fast food and how it's evolved from the product to the experience, to the team member experience, it's all evolved in a way that, is food that is less good for you, to put it lightly, but is really craveable and has gotten more convenient. And for us, we really wanted to create food that was rooted in full transparency. So, I think around the time we started in 2007, we were really lucky that the conversation on food, I think, was starting to shift, and consumers were starting to ask questions around their food. And we wanted to be part of that change and part of kind of lifting the curtain between customers and food, and showing them that you can have food that is sourced really well from farmers and growers and food partners that are doing things right. And you can rethink all the nutritional inputs and guidelines that go into your food, make food from scratch, and have it be really craveable. And so that was the idea, was really to kind of bring food back and simplify it in a way, but just make it super transparent.
Is it hard to stay focused on that DNA given how fast you guys are growing?
It's a lot of work and it's a lot of investments at times, but for us it's the whole premise and the point of Sweetgreen is to reimagine fast food, and so for us the value prop is that approach to food in our ethos. So and the transparency that we create holds us, makes us accountable.
How many locations will you open this year?
We will open around 25 locations.
Any new markets?
We've just opened our first restaurants this year in Ohio and North Carolina, which has been really exciting.
I saw I think it was a JP Morgan report. They have pegged Sweetgreen at having potentially 1,500 to 2,000 restaurants by 2040. Is that insane to think of?
It's really exciting to think of. I mean, the whole premise of Sweetgreen and why we started it was to really shift perception and relationship on food and ultimately be everywhere and feed everyone. And if you look at today, 240 something restaurants that we have, it's still very early innings. And if you look at a lot of our larger fast food chains that have thousands or tens of thousands of restaurants for sometimes even more specific types of food, it gets us excited to think about being at that scale and not only meeting more customers, but really shifting supply chains and shifting the food system.
What is it like, founding a company with two of your friends, essentially? I mean, they're still involved in the business. Like, how does that dynamic work?
It's a lot of people look at us like we're crazy. They're saying there's three of you and you still are all together in the business. And I look at solo founders often and I say, it looks even harder. I don't know how solo founders go through that journey by themselves, the ups, the downs, and not have someone there to really be on that journey with them. And John and Nate it's been really exciting to grow with them as business leaders, as entrepreneurs, and be on this journey. The three of us are all very aligned and focused on what we want to build and the vision for the company. But our skill sets and the areas of the business that we run, we're very complementary. So I would say we all make each other better.
How did you settle on you as chief concept officer? Like, what makes you wake up every day thinking like, all right, I'm the chief concept officer?
Over the 17 years we've been doing this, our roles have definitely evolved. For the first 10 years, we were co-CEOs. But we always had areas of the business that were kind of our specialties that we leaned in on. And for me, it was always focused on product. Everything around food, the experience of food, how it comes to life for the customer, the concept of the actual, our food program. And so for me, that was a natural fit for me to just go even deeper. As we started to accelerate and bring on really an incredible executive team, we wanted to make sure that we could leverage the power of three of us and just divide and conquer a bit. So for me, for 17 years, but definitely today, I've just been very focused on the quality of the product. And partly because one of my biggest fears as a founder and entrepreneur is you see most food businesses as they scale, their food slowly gets worse.
Correct.
Quality of the food, the experience, all of it. And it's these micro changes every day, every week, every year, and you wake up 10 years later and your product is so far off from where you thought it would be or where you wanted it to be or from where you started. And so really what I'm very focused on is really making sure that as we grow, as we expand, as we accelerate, we can protect and if anything elevate the quality of our food and the experience.
You seem very connected to food culture and even going at the farm level. When you talk to the folks that get you your product, what are some of their biggest concerns? I've talked to a lot of restaurateurs and that go out and they're touring the fields, and like climate change is becoming a real problem and a thing that farmers are thinking about. And if they're thinking about it, I imagine a restaurateur needs to think about it too.
It's really exciting to see the network of farmers and growers that we've and food partners we've built over the 17 years. Some of them we've worked with for over a decade, and so a lot of it really is about building a resilient network of folks growing the right things in the right way according to our ethos. But a lot of it is it's very relationship driven. We've been sharing the story of our goat cheese farmer in DC, Firefly Farms, that we've worked with since almost day one. And I remember them, delivering the goat cheese to our 3 restaurants to start, and then now they still work with us in that region 14 years later. And so for us, it's just making sure that we can work with farmers and food partners that want to grow, want to think about our business a year or 2 years out and help plan with us, and we can help them plan their business. And so, there's definitely a lot of variability as we think about obviously climate and weather. And so I have a lot of gratitude for our supply chain team and the work they do to build that network, to be in the fields, to be with the farmers, understanding what's happening to their business, how we can show up as a better buyer. One of the whole premises of how we built our supply chain is if we want to be a brand that shifts consumer demand and consumer consumption ultimately of food, we have to also be an incredible partner to the folks growing that food. Right? If we want to sell more of it, we need to be able to buy more of it. And so how we show up as a buyer and a partner, and our farmers, their business needs to thrive as well, not just ours.
How have you evolved as a leader, and how do you And you sound like you're clearly very connected to the business. You want to like protect the brand and its ethos, but at some point, maybe, I mean, can you focus on all the same things you used to focus on?
I think for me, what's really important is maintaining that North Star of what is the thing every day I want to wake up and think about. But at the same time, at different business cycles, at different moments in the business, there's different things you need to focus on. So it's kind of maintaining that long-term North Star, but also understanding that every year the business and your team is going to need something different, and how you really get to go deep on those things that are relevant for that year is important.
Danny Meyer was an early investor in the company. He's an OG of restaurateur. What advice has he given you through the years?
Danny's been a big inspiration. I think, the thing I'll always take from Danny is two things. A, just the quality of your team and people you hire. It's like building an all-star team. And I think one of his superpowers is just assembling the best leadership team or best teams and really collecting great leaders across his business. And then again, obviously the sense of how you want to make people feel in your experience. He literally wrote the book, and I think we've, at times we've made our teams read that book. And he's, if you look at kind of the alumni from his organization, they've gone on to do such great things.
It was what, Setting the Table?
Setting the Table, yeah.
Yeah, really, really, really good book. All right, hang with us, Nicolas. We're going to go off for a quick break. We'll be right back on Opening Bid. All right, welcome back to Opening Bid. Having a fun chat here with Nicolas Jammet, the Sweetgreen co-founder and chief concept officer. So I wanted to leave a big chunk of this vodcast, podcast, whatever you want to call it, to this infinite kitchen concept that, frankly, I really think you've pioneered at Sweetgreen. What is it exactly? And what is it, and where is it going, and what is it not?
So, one of the things I would say about our 17-year journey at Sweetgreen so far is that so much of the experience and the menu and the product has evolved dramatically. Whether it was early on us ordering, launching new ordering channels or launching our app, we've kind of been very focused on the customer and where they're going, and wanting to make sure that we make the right investments in our broader experience and platform. And one of the biggest investments we've made in the recent few years has been around automation and how that relates to the engine of our restaurant. And so one of our big beliefs is that automation will be one of the next big platform shifts in food as we look, towards the next decade. And so, a few years ago we met these 4 entrepreneurs from MIT that launched this company called Spice. And we actually met them through another early investor, chef Daniel Boulud, Icon in New York. He was an early investor in them, early investor in us, the ultimate OG. And he connected us very early on, before they had ever even opened their first restaurant. And it was 4 guys trying to do the same thing. Same mission, trying to reinvent fast food using automation. Fast forward a few years later, we decided to join forces. We acquired them, and they've become an incredible part of the team 3 years later. And they've helped build this infinite kitchen, which is the assembly engine that powers our new Sweetgreen format. And so much of the excitement around that has just been about reimagining the whole experience around our food, from the customer experience, the team member experience, to actually thinking about the product and how it comes out of the infinite kitchen. But so much of the premise was that how do we use automation to really drive this future experience that is way more focused on hospitality and food. And so today our team members show up and they do all this scratch cooking. They have to assemble all our food on this front line with customers. There's a back engine for digital orders, and then we want them to also interact with our customers, and that's a lot. And so I also have so much gratitude for our 7,000 team members that show up every day and bring that to life.
So let's say I walk in for lunch at a Sweetgreen. Take me through that experience. Like, what would that be like at a location that has this technology?
So we have now 8 Infinite Kitchens opened our 8th one yesterday. But when you walk into this format, you'll generally see the same thing you'll see in any restaurant. You'll see an open kitchen, a scratch cooking, you'll see some pickup shelves, and then you'll be greeted by some team members that are in the front of house, there to greet you, there to engage, there to kind of talk to you about Sweetgreen if you want that. And so either you've ordered before on your phone or desktop, or when you get to the restaurant, if you want to order, you can either order on a kiosk, or you can order with that team member on a tablet. And the idea is that some customers, if you're a brand new customer and you walk in and you have no idea what Sweetgreen is, you may need a few more minutes of explanation or just like education around what Sweetgreen is and what makes us different around our food, our supply chain. And so our team members are able to do that now. Or if you are a Sweetgreen pro and you just want to go and you've ordered, or you want to order on the kiosk and not talk to anyone, you can kind of self-select the experience you want. So you place your order, And then within a couple of minutes, really fast, the order has been sent to the Infinite Kitchen. It gets made. A team member takes that bowl or that plate, finishes it at our finishing station, which has a bunch of the ingredients that need that hand touch, whether it's tearing basil, squeezing lemon, putting a salmon fillet on top of your plate or bowl, and then it's given to the customer by the team member.
What if I wanted double of something? Can you get it? Can you get it via that format?
You can fully customize it, yeah.
Huh. I think there's this view in, from an investor standpoint, like, all right, every restaurant's going to be automated, but there's a cost. What is the cost for something like this? I mean, this is real technology getting retrofitted inside of a restaurant.
So much of the investment is really focused on reimagining what the future experience and engine should be, and so much of this is the benefits to the customer experience are there, but as we think about the team member experience, it's been really exciting to watch the team members, especially in one of the restaurants that we converted from a classic to an Infinite Kitchen, experience both. And it is just a different job, a different experience. We are still prepping and scratch cooking everything from that we are in a similar restaurant, but now our team members get to really focus, especially at peak rush, their time on the customer versus being accurate and fast and assembling everything the right way. And when you look at the implications of the team member experience and a kind of a lower stress, less intense part of their day, and then how that plus the Infinite Kitchen comes together for the end product, it's a product that is really focused on accuracy, speed, even down to perfect temperature control in the machine. It's really exciting to see the capabilities the Infinite Kitchen allows and unlocks for the customer, but also for the team member.
These 8 locations that have these, what have you seen in average ticket? What have you seen in margins in the restaurant?
It's still early, but we've had our first one open for about a year and a half, and we've seen some great margin gains. What's been really exciting is also watching some of the team member metrics and just watching turnover and retention improve and team member sentiment. And then our average ticket has gone up as well. So it's really early and we're excited to continue watching it, but the early signs are really promising. And again, so much of our focus has been, I give a lot of credit to the automation team that has built this incredible technology. And I think the nuance there is how we build the right experience around it. So if you are a brand new customer that knows nothing about Sweetgreen and you walk in, how can we really make sure that we tell you the Sweetgreen story, that you understand that our product is different, and then ultimately that you can be served in a really fast way. And so thinking about the experience design of it is really the exciting part.
How many Sweetgreens will have this over the next 12 months?
So we've focused, I think we've shared publicly that about 50% of our pipeline at least will have the Infinite Kitchen engine in it. And then we're focused on looking at opportunities to retrofit in our current fleet.
Wow. So hearing that explanation, I see human working together with robot. Now, having said that, is it your view that the fast food industry will get more automated? I mean, of course, I walk into McDonald's, I see some scary looking machines, but like the fast casual space, is that where this is going?
I think our belief is that automation will become a broader solution in most industries, but definitely in the restaurant space. And I think if you're automating the right tasks, it's really exciting because, ultimately Sweetgreen, we're not a technology company. We are a food company, powered by people and leveraging automation and technology to really think about a heightened experience around food. So for us, it's everything we do is in service of the food and the mission and really thinking about that experience from customer to team member.
So, you're in that room, you're like, all right, we're going to open up some more of these Infinite Kitchens. And I just want to, you're not thinking like, oh wow, this can, take away this one job. Like, that's not how your team thinks, especially as a co-founder, right?
No, and for us, even when we converted the our one restaurant here, no jobs were lost. And the focus for us is on really thinking about enhancing the experience and enhancing the job. So it's really exciting to think about not only what it does to the team member experience and the job day to day, but also eventually how it allows us to really think about our acceleration and reaching more people with this format. It is a kind of a different business model. It's a different economic model. And so we're still learning so much around, again, the experience part of it and the P&L, but the early signs are really exciting. But the ultimate unlock for us is just, a better customer experience, really focus on a better team member experience and job, and then ultimately creating more of those.
What does it do? What else would you like this system to do that it doesn't do today? Are there ingredients it can chop? Like, are there other things that you see that you can add onto it to further move even faster, if that's a thing?
You know, when the Spice team first joined us a few years ago, we spent a lot of time trying to focus on what the capabilities of the Infinite Kitchen should be and the experience around it. And so it's actually very versatile and it's really exciting. You know, a year ago, actually this week, we launched a massive new category in our menu, which has been a big focus for us, just broadening our menu to really invite new customers into Sweetgreen. And we launched protein plates. And so, you know, that was something that the Infinite Kitchen, you know, is able to make. And so as we think about broadening our menu, adding new categories, adding new ingredients, the Infinite Kitchen is built for that.
Where is the drive-thru?
We have one Sweet Lane that we call in Schaumburg, Illinois, and it's been really exciting just to see, you know, again, the convenience that's added. And one of our dreams early on as founders was, you know, if we wanted to take this concept of Sweetgreen and make it as ubiquitous as fast food, you think about the form factors and the most convenient, you know, experience of a drive-thru and bringing that to life. So seeing that first one come to life has been exciting. Some great lessons, and you know, we're definitely hoping to do more.
Is it hard to just find locations? I see what Chipotle's doing, aggressive in drive-thrus, and McDonald's, it is what it is. Like, is it hard just to find a good site nowadays?
There's a lot of competition for those pads and those sites. So, you know, I think as we start to expand and reach new cities, and we're looking, you know, in more, we're expanding our pipeline into more cities, it's exciting to look for those sites. You know, in the top markets, there's a lot of competition for those sites.
Why do you think, you know, I'm not going to call Sweetgreen fast food because I do think it's very different, but help us understand why has fast food gone so expensive? You know, I think we have now started to see traffic at QSR chains come down or weaken a little bit. Now consumers are back to eating at home. I was just talking to the CEO of McCormick. I mean, he's seen a pickup in the spices business because people are shopping the perimeter of the store. I mean, have we just reached a point on how far some of these prices could be pushed?
You know, I think part of what was really exciting about our protein plates launch, and this was part of the premise, was we saw our customers, so many of them that come to Sweetgreen at lunch and even at dinner, but you look at your options if you don't want to cook for dinner, and you look at, especially in some of these dense urban cities, and you want to order something for delivery that is tasty, you know, filling, makes you feel good, food that you can trust. And, you know, to get a plate like that of food that is protein at the center of the plate and grains and veg for, you know, under $20 is a pretty great deal in a lot of places. And so it's hard to, for us, really focus on price value from our customer point of view, making sure they feel like they have that range of offering from hardiness to price, but that it all has a strong price value has been a huge focus for us.
Lastly, I hope I have this right. So you and your other two co-founders, I mean, control, I think 56% of the voting power of Sweetgreen. I mean, have you laid out the next decade of your life? Like, at one point, do you hand something over? Like, where are you, like, a decade from now? Have you thought about, you have to have thought about it?
You know, we've been doing this 17 years, and that sounds like a long time, but at the same time, it seems like very early innings. You know, we're what we believe at the beginning of a very long journey and when we built Sweetgreen to start, we said we want to build a generational company that can be around for 100 plus years. And so 240 locations is really just the beginning. So we're very focused on building a durable generational brand that can be the next great American fast food brand.
So it sounds like you're sticking around. Fair enough. Nicolas Jammet, Sweetgreen co-founder and chief concept officer. Thanks so much for stopping by. I should note I'm a big goat cheese fan. Love me some goat cheese, especially on those protein bowls. Oh man, that stuff is good. All right, that's it for the latest episode of Opening Bid. Here's with those 5-star rankings on Spotify, likes on Apple, likes on YouTube. If you see likes and thumbs, just click it, and keep sending us that love. We really appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.